Hello, it's my pleasure to introduce this DVD commemorating National Gypsum's 85th anniversary. Our company has a rich heritage which helped form the values we work and live by today. We're the leader in customer service because we've always put our customers first. We're a leader in quality and efficiency because we've always made that a priority. In fact, the original Gold Bond guarantee struck a chord with our customers. They started calling our gypsum board Gold Bond. We're an innovator because the company began with an innovation, the beginning of what is now known as modern wallboard. I think you'll enjoy this slice of history, which is National Gypsum Company.
National Gypsum's history began 85 years ago in 1925, when 3 men from the Beaver Board Company lost their jobs. Their company folded due to short-term debt. They decided to join forces. Joseph Haggerty experimented with a new formula for a gypsum board in his wife's kitchen. He had the beginnings of modern wallboard. Geologist Clarence Williams had options on mineral rights at Clarence Center, New York. Melvin Baker was a salesman extraordinaire.
Maybe I can't do anything else, but I know how to whip up enthusiasm in people.
Melvin Baker. The 3 men needed to raise $2 million. Baker had hired salesmen before they even had the money for a plant. He and these men went to work selling stock and the idea for a new wallboard company.
I saw Melvin come out the door. I could tell from his walk that he'd been successful. Indeed he had. At that moment, I was absolutely sure that National Gypsum was going to succeed.
Mrs. Baker. The Clarence plant opened in June 1926 with 50 employees. Baker and his sales force were on the road selling National Mineral Wallboard.
I heard some fellows from the old Beaver Board Company had got together to make wallboard. I knew Mel Baker from the days when he used to call on me. So when a young fellow came in and said he was from National Gypsum, I started to tell him I wished him well, but let's not waste each other's time. I didn't get a chance. He brought 2 sawhorses out of his car, along with a pile of sash weights and a piece of new wallboard. Put the wallboard on the sawhorses and started throwing sash weights on it. He kept loading them until the board broke. Then he brought out some competitive board and did the same thing. His new wallboard held 1/3 more sash weights than any of the others. When the fellow finished, he got out his order book and signed me up.
Lumber dealer, Niagara Falls. The company opened its second plant and quarry in 1927 in Emory Junction, Michigan. Happy to have the jobs, the community renamed the town National City. Every shipment of National Mineral Board included a certificate offering $5,000 to anyone who could disprove the claims that the board was lighter, stronger, and more flexible than the competition's. The certificate was printed on yellow paper, and dealers started calling the board Gold Bond. That caught on and became the product brand. In 1928, company president Joseph Haggerty died, and shortly after that, Clarence Williams retired due to failing health. Baker became company president.
In the dark days of the early 30s, faith was virtually a means of exchange, a legal tender. I believe we had more of it than anyone else.
Baker, the company's salesman-in-chief, secured an order for all the wallboard used at the Century of Progress exposition in Chicago, which included buildings along a 6-mile parkway. This was the only large construction project in the country, large enough to keep the company's 2 plants running for 6 months. National Gypsum was so concerned about the possibility its bank would fail that it withdrew gold to ensure it could pay employees.
Back in the 30s, in the depths of the Depression, my company embarked on an ambitious expansion program. There were peddlers of gloom who said we were heading into certain disaster. I freely admitted there was a possibility of failure, but at the same time, there was an opportunity to expand, to grow, and to progress. I willingly chose to follow the bold course, which, though uncertain, offered great hope for the future.
Plants became available at bargain prices. The company bought Fort Dodge, Rotan, Portsmouth, Medicine Lodge, and Dingwall Quarry. By transporting rock from Dingwall, Nova Scotia, National Gypsum could construct a modern plant at Savannah. Late in the 1930s, the company decided to start making wood fiber insulation board. To raise money for the operation, Baker asked a friend to invite 10 investment firms to a dinner. Baker spoke briefly after dessert, charming Wall Street. When he left that evening, he had more than enough money to build the plant. Rumors of war became a reality on December 7, 1941. Baker sent a telegram to the Secretary of War the next day.
The management of this corporation believes that business should go all out for a quick, decisive victory over Japan. And to this end, this company's resources, technical knowledge, and the production at its 21 plants are at your disposal.
2 months later, the Army Ordnance Department asked the company to construct and operate a bomb loading plant near McGregor, Texas. The plant employed 5,000 people. National Gypsum also loaned its original bulk carrier, the Melvin H. Baker, to the government to carry supplies. German U-boats sank the ship off the coast of Brazil on June 6, 1942. The Niles, Ohio plant turned its lathe-making equipment to the production of portable steel mesh airstrips. 40% of the company's production went to the war effort. The Portsmouth plant was leased to the Navy. 700 associates were in military service, and honor rolls of those associates were posted in every plant. Management corresponded with the soldiers, wishing them well, and reminding them their jobs would be available when they returned home. Meanwhile, the company was planning for the homecoming. Baker believed there would be a post-war boom in the economy and in the housing industry.
10% of our population is now in uniform. When the war is over, they're going to want homes. We need to prepare for maximum production.
The post-war expansion included the Pryor Paper Plant, Shoals Mine and Plant, the Halifax Quarry, West Wego, Burlington, Anniston, Waukegan, Lorain, and Tawas. And the company diversified by purchasing 3 tile companies to form American Olean Tile, accumulating 15% of the ceramic tile market. 1 million shares of National Gypsum stock bought the Huron-Portland Cement Company. That made the company the largest cement producer in the U.S. With attention focused on the West Coast, the company bought the Phoenix plant and built Richmond and Long Beach. To increase paper supply, it built the Milton Paper Plant. Chairman Melvin H. Baker oversaw this expansion of National Gypsum and ended an era with his retirement in 1965 from the company he founded. Colin Brown was named chairman and organized the company into divisions.
I have an unqualified faith in the future of this business, and I'm planning for that future.
Colin Brown. Under Brown's leadership, the company's research facility in Tonawanda, New York, doubled in size.
When the work is completed, this center will be the most complete single laboratory in the industry for testing both fire and sound control.
The company entered a joint venture with private investors and Lafarge in 1968 to build and operate a wallboard plant in France, marking the beginning of a long relationship and National Gypsum's first introduction to byproduct gypsum. Big changes in the 1970s involved moving people. When the company decided to move its headquarters from 325 Delaware Street, it caused quite a stir in Buffalo. Only 60 associates moved to the new Dallas headquarters in 1976, but it turned Buffalo on its heels. The moves weren't over. In 1978, the Gold Bond Buildings Product Division left Buffalo for Charlotte, North Carolina. Only the Research Center and the original Clarence Center plant remained in the Buffalo area. Former Miss America Mary Ann Mobley became the spokesperson for the company's new decorator panels. At the time, National Gypsum was a huge building products manufacturer producing not only wallboard, but glass, wallpaper, paint, cement, insulation, tile, and vinyl siding. It was listed among the Fortune 500. There were other big developments in the 1980s. With stock, National Gypsum purchased the Austin Company, an international engineering and construction enterprise, and it exchanged its cement business for 10% ownership of Lafarge. In the meantime, asbestos claims were mounting.
In 1986, a group of the company's top managers initiated an offer to buy all of the company's stock in what's known as a leveraged buyout transaction. Unfortunately, this proposal opened the door to a bidding war for the company's stock with the Wicks Company. In order to secure control, the company's management group turned to Lafarge for help with an offer for partial ownership. With Lafarge's help, the company's management group ultimately prevailed and the company was privately held. And Lafarge ended up with 32% of the company's stock in a $1.55 billion transaction.
Storm clouds grew. In 1987, the company reported its first loss in 50 years. It had $1.5 billion in debt and lost $3.4 million in the first quarter and $8.4 million in the second. American Olean was sold to Armstrong World Industries, and Lafarge acquired an additional 19% of the company, now owning 51%. On October 28, 1990, the company entered Chapter 11 bankruptcy in Dallas, Texas. It had a negative worth of $648 million.
Let me confirm that last evening at 8:30 in Dallas, Texas, Encore Holdings and National Gypsum filed for protection under the bankruptcy laws of the United States, Chapter 11.
The day the bankruptcy was announced was a sad day for all of us. We didn't really have the feel that it was coming, and so when it was announced, we all took it personally. It was very difficult.
During the bankruptcy days, the company focused on customer service and maintaining employee morale. It initiated 1-800-NATIONAL for technical service, closed sales offices, and took the initial steps to consolidate the customer service center in Charlotte, which was completed after the conclusion of the bankruptcy. Over 50% of the customer service representatives moved from the field to Charlotte, setting up a service center unequaled in the industry. By summer, associates saw rays of sunlight. On July 1, 1993, the bankruptcy ended, and a trust was formed to deal with the asbestos claims. The Asbestos Trust would own the stock of the old National Gypsum Company, as well as the stock of the Austin Company, along with insurance policies and some cash. A new publicly held company, New NGC Inc., was formed. New NGC acquired the operating assets of the old National Gypsum Company, including the wallboard and joint compound businesses and the National Gypsum name. The new National Gypsum headquarters was established in Charlotte. A celebration followed, with CEO Peter Browning pulling a black drape from the new company logo on the front of the building. Browning became chairman of the new board, which included Charlotte businessman C.D. Spangler Jr. With the turbulence of bankruptcy behind it, the company was about to enter another era in 1995. Delcor, a company owned by the C.D. Spangler family, made a bid to purchase the company. There were other suitors, including competitor British Plasterboard, now CertainTeed. Delcor eventually succeeded in its quest to acquire the new company in September 1995. Spangler was named chairman of the board, and his son-in-law, Tom Nelson, vice chairman and CFO. Under the new ownership, New NGC Inc. became a private company no longer under the scrutiny of Wall Street. Dick Spangler believed in the company's potential and emphasized his strategy to invest for the long term. Over the next 15 years, the new owners would invest over $1 billion back into the business. The new board put Tony Mariah in the president's seat, and a rebuilding and expansion program began, which would include the acquisition of the Unifix cement backerboard business, expansions of the joint treatment business, upgrades at Long Beach, a second line at Baltimore, and the grand opening of the Shippingport, Pennsylvania plant. A high-speed line using byproduct gypsum exclusively. Tom Nelson was elected president and CEO in 1999, and growth continued into the new millennium. Nelson formed two new business units, interior finishing products and cement backerboard. This would increase focus on these two lines of business. Apollo Beach, a Florida-based sister plant to Shippingport, opened its doors in 2001. In 2002, research and development moved from Buffalo to Charlotte. The operation, renamed the Technology Innovation Center, brought targeted attention on product and process development. The company introduced grid marks, and the XP family of mold-resistant products entered the marketplace. The market for wallboard exploded during the first 5 years of the decade, with housing starts topping 2 million annually. Plants worked 24/7. Then in July 2006, the housing bubble burst and the wallboard market plummeted. National Gypsum responded by cutting costs, dialing down production, and cutting staff. Although some projects were delayed, product development and investment continued. A new interior finishing products plant opened in Belcamp, Maryland, and the company's high-speed Mount Holly plant shipped its first order in late 2007. Marketing introduced SoundBreak, new setting compounds, and expanded the National Gypsum Purple XP family to include external sheathing and shaft liner under the EXP brand. As the company enters the next decade, it is poised to catch the next market upswing with new products, the best customer service in the industry, and state-of-the-art plants and equipment. It also has the backing of its owners, who have demonstrated their commitment to National Gypsum's advancement.
National Gypsum is 85 and still growing. We're continuing to write our history. Together, we'll build on our heritage and remain the leader in the building products industry. Thank you.